Alright, well let's have a look at the headlines. 그럼 3월 6일 월요일 모닝 헤드라인스 조주연 뉴스캐스터와 함께 시작합니다.
Korea's semiconductor inventory to sales ratio came in at 265.7% in January, the highest level since March 1997, reflecting sluggish global demand amid economic uncertainties.
1월 반도체 재고율이 지난 1997년 3월 이후 가장 높은 265.7%를 기록했습니다. 이는 불확실한 경제 상황이 이어지면서 세계 반도체 수요가 둔화한 데 따른 것으로 보입니다.
China set a modest target for economic growth this year of around 5% on Sunday as it kicked off the annual session of its National People's Congress, which is poised to implement the biggest government shakeup in a decade.
전국 인민대표대회의 전인대회가 시작된 일요일 어제 중국이 올해 경제 성장률 목표치를 다소 완만한 5% 안팎으로 제시했습니다. 중국은 이번에 10년 만에 대대적인 정부 개편도 예고하고 있습니다.
Amazon has announced it is pausing construction of its second headquarters in Virginia and closing 8 of its cashierless convenience stores following the biggest round of layoffs in the company's history.
아마존이 회사 역사상 최대 규모의 정리해고에 이어 버지니아주에 진행 중인 제2본사 공사와 8개의 무인 편의점 운영을 중단하기로 결정했습니다.
A joint U.S. and Australian law enforcement operation has busted an international drug ring after intercepting 2.4 tons of cocaine aboard a vessel off the coast of South America that had been bound for Australia.
네, 미국과 합동작전을 펼친 호주 경찰이 호주로 향하던 남미 연안의 선박에서 2.4톤의 코카인을 압수하고 해당 국제 마약 조직원들을 체포했습니다.
Swedish archaeologists have uncovered a unique cache of well-preserved spices, from strands of saffron to peppercorns and ginger, on the wreck of a royal ship that sunk off Sweden's Baltic coast more than 500 years ago.
스웨덴 고고학자들이 500여 년 전 스웨덴 발트해 연안에서 침몰한 덴마크 왕실 난파선 속에서 전례 없이 잘 보존된 사프란, 후추, 생강 등의 향신료를 발견했습니다. And those were our headlines. Morning Headline Expressions. Let's have a look at the key expressions from today's headlines. Sluggish was the first one.
That's right. So think of the slug or the snail if you can't think of the slug. So sluggish global demand means that it's quite slow.
Yeah.
It's moving very slowly and it's not picking up as usual.
But you never say snailish, do you?
No.
You only say
Please don't.
sluggish.
Yes.
Sluggish는 느릿느릿한 속도 생각하시면 됩니다. 민달팽이처럼. 여기서는요, sluggish global demand, 세계 수요 부진의 의미가 있었죠. The next one was a government shake-up.
Yes. So if you shake something up, you actually disrupt all of the compositions of what's inside.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the Chinese government is going to undergo a complete shake-up within its cabinet or its members. So they're going to change a lot of the people within the government.
컵이나 상자 안에다가 물건을 차곡차곡 넣어놨다고 한번 생각해 보세요. 근데 그거를 들어서 송두리째 흔드는 거예요. 그러면은 이제 구성 뭐 배치라든지 아니면은 뭐가 내려가고 올라가고 하는 것들이 다 섞이겠죠. 바뀌고. 그래서 그런 느낌으로 우리가 개편 얘기할 때 특히 이제 뭐 인사 이런 관련된 얘기할 때 shakeup라는 표현 많이 씁니다. 인사 이동 같은 거요.
That's right.
자, 그 다음에 이제 cashierless convenience stores.
A cashier is a person who stands right next to the cashier, the machine, and helps you check out at a store. But for this case, it's cashierless, means that you don't have any people standing there, nor do you have that actual machine either. So convenience stores that do not employ all of those people working.
Exactly. 네, cashier라는 게 계산원인데요. 없다. less가 들어가서 cashierless convenience store, 무인 편의점을 말합니다. 그 다음에 be bound for somewhere.
Be bound for somewhere means that you're heading towards that destination, location. You can use it for transportation. You can use it for a person as well, especially for subways or trains. If you're headed into a certain direction, you can say that you're bound for Australia or Incheon or whichever.
Exactly. Bound for 어디 그러면은 지하철에서는 어디 행이다라는 의미가 되겠고요. 어디로 향하고 있다라는 의미로 통상적으로 많이 씁니다. Be bound for Australia는 호주를 향하던 vessel이라는 의미가 되겠고요. The final expression is a cache of something.
Yes. A cache of something is something that's quite hidden or inaccessible. Usually you use it for things that were uncovered by excavators or something after a long period of time.
뭔가 숨겨져 있었거나 아니면 그동안 오랫동안 찾지 못했던 것을 찾았을 때 cache, 보관돼 있었다, 저장돼 있었다라는 의미로 쓸 수 있거든요. A cache of well-preserved spices라는 것이 그래서 여기서는 오랫동안 잘 보존된 그런 향신료를 말하고 있습니다. 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에서 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤고요. 모닝 헤드라인 expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣게 하실 수 있습니다. 자, 그럼 3월 7일 화요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 레이와 함께 시작합니다.
Korea's on-year growth in consumer prices fell below 5% in February for the first time in 10 months, while public utility costs went up 28.4% to set a new high.
지난달 우리나라 물가 상승률이 10개월 만에 처음으로 5% 아래로 떨어졌습니다. 다만 공공요금은 지난해 대비 28.4% 증가한 것으로 나타났습니다.
The government has announced a set of measures to overhaul the 52-hour workweek system introduced in 2018 by giving more flexibility and choice in work hours.
정부가 2018년에 도입된 주 52시간 근무 제도를 개선하기 위해 유연성을 강화한 근로시간 제도 개편 방안을 발표했습니다.
Russia has ramped up its attack on Bakhmut, a city that, despite being mostly reduced to rubble and abandoned by more than 90% of its pre-war population, is seen by Moscow as a key goal in its eastern push.
네, 러시아가 주민 90%가 이미 떠난 우크라이나 동부의 주요 거점인 바흐무트에 대한 공격을 더욱 강화했습니다.
Parents in several cities across Iran, including the capital Tehran, have taken to the streets to protest over a wave of suspected poison attacks that have affected schoolgirls in dozens of schools.
이란에서 여학교를 대상으로 한 독가스 공격이 잇따라 발생하면서 수도 테헤란을 포함한 주요 도시에서 학부모들이 거리로 나와 시위를 벌였습니다.
United Nations member states have finally agreed on a treaty to protect biodiversity in regions outside national boundary waters, known as the high seas.
UN 회원국들이 20년 넘게 논의한 끝에 공해 생물 다양성을 보호하기 위한 국제 해양 조약 제정에 합의했습니다. And those are our headlines. Morning Headline Expressions. 자, 오늘의 Headline Expressions 첫 번째는요. To set a new high입니다.
A new record.
A new record.
A new record, and it's a record high, you could even say. So we could say this about a lot of things. Temperatures, athletes often set records in points or goals, stock prices of anything.
Yeah.
But we can also reverse it, and these things can also set record lows or career lows.
So it can be used personally, it can be used about stats, data, weather. Anything.
Anytime some record is set. And you mentioned earlier, we could say hit a new high, set a new high, reached a new high.
그렇군요. 여기서 high라는 게 최고치, 최고 기록이라는 의미가 있어요. set라는 것은 여기서 그것을 기록했다라는 의미가 있어서요. 의역을 하자면은 이제 최고치를 경신했다 이렇게 보면 되겠죠. The public utility costs actually set a new high last
That's
month.
not good.
That's not good.
Yeah, we'd prefer them to set a new low.
All right, well, the next expression to look at is to overhaul something.
You overhaul something, you make major, drastic changes to something. It's usually some type of a system.
Yeah.
The way perhaps the way the company works, for example. There might be a management overhaul. Where
Yeah, exactly.
everything changes. They bring in all new people and completely change how things are run.
명사로 쓸 수도 있고요. 동사로 쓸 수도 있는데 크게 바꾼다라는 의미가 있기 때문에 개편의 의미라고 보실 수 있습니다. The next expression is to be reduced to something. In this case, be reduced to rubble.
Right, we were talking about the city that's been reduced to rubble, meaning everything's been destroyed. Rubble being stones and bricks and all the different pieces, concrete, the things that make up a building. So obviously, that's not good.
Exactly.
So when we say that someone's been reduced to something, it means that now they're in a worse situation. So someone could be reduced to tears.
Yeah.
What were some other ones we talked about? Being reduced to ashes after something's been burned.
Exactly.
If a building caught fire, it's been reduced to ashes.
네, 이렇게 되어버렸다라는 의미인데요. 안 좋게 되었을 때 쓰는 표현입니다. 그래서 누군가가 예를 들자면 엄청 혼났어요. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? 매니저가 이렇게 막 혼냈어요. 그랬더니 직원이 나중에 눈물을 뚝뚝 이렇게 울면 He was reduced to tears. 이렇게 울어버렸어. 이런 얘기인데 이렇게 어떻게 되어버렸다가 부정적인 뉘앙스를 가지고 있는 be reduced to입니다. 건물들이 다 무너진 이 바흐무트 같은 경우에는 폐허가 됐다. It's been reduced to rubble. 그리고 만약에 어딘가가 이제 타버렸어요. 그러면 this building has been reduced to ashes. 이렇게 표현할 수도 있습니다. Alright, let's move on to the next one. To take to the streets.
To take to the streets means you go to the street to protest,
Yeah,
right? Sometimes we might say people, they took to Twitter to complain about something. It means you use that or you go there for a purpose.
Take to the streets라는 것 자체가 이제 시위를 한다라는 의미로 이해하시면 되겠습니다. 가두 시위에 나서다라는 의미죠. 거리에 가서 그냥 거리에 가는 의미만 있는 게 아닙니다. So when you hear take to the streets, you wouldn't think, oh, they're going for a stroll.
No,
You
I
think
know that means they're
protesting.
protesting.
아, 그렇군요. 항상 시위의 의미가 들어있다. 좋습니다. 자, 마지막으로 agree on a treaty.
Ooh, when you agree, well, obviously when you agree on something, you make a deal. And a treaty is just an agreement, an official document that gets signed between two countries or several countries. In this case, it was the United Nations, so many countries.
A treaty, T-R-E-A-T-Y. 조약이라는 의미죠. Very different to a treat.
Yes, very different.
Y 하나 차이로 이렇게 의미가 달라져요. 그냥 treat 그러면은 선물의 의미가 될 수도 있고 뭔가 이렇게 맛있는 음식이 될 수도 있고 그렇지만 treaty는 조약이라는 뜻입니다.
Usually when we talk about treats, it's candy.
Yeah, sweets.
Not guaja, but candy.
그렇죠. 네, 사탕 같은 거를 treat라고 하기도 하고요. 아니면 I want to treat you, Ray.
Oh, nice.
이렇게 말하면
For
내가,
what? Where are we going to go? For a burger or something like that? That's usually what we talk about.
Sure.
I'm going to hold you to that.
아이고, it's just an example.
Oh, okay.
아니에요. I will treat you one day. 그러니까 내가 쏠게 이런 의미로도 쓸 수 있는 거죠. 그래서 treat하고 treaty는 완전히 다르다는 거 기억해 주시면 되겠습니다. 자, 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에서 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤고요. 모닝 헤드라인 expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣게 하실 수 있습니다. 자, 그러면 3월 8일 수요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 레이와 함께 시작합니다.
Spending on private education in Korea hit a record high of 26 trillion won last year amid the prolonged COVID-19 pandemic that restricted in-person school education, according to a survey released by the Education Ministry.
교육부가 발표한 자료에 따르면 코로나 팬데믹이 장기화되는 가운데 학습 결손에 대한 우려가 커지면서 지난해 사교육비 총액이 역대 최고치인 26조 원을 기록했습니다.
Korea's per capita income in dollars decreased by nearly 8% last year on the back of the won's depreciation against the greenback, with the country's gross national income per capita coming to $32,661 in 2022.
지난해 우리나라의 달러 기준 1인당 국민 총소득이 8% 가까이 감소하며 32,661달러를 기록했습니다. 이는 지난해 급등한 원달러 환율이 영향을 미친 것으로 보입니다.
Japan's first launch of its new flagship space rocket ended in failure on Tuesday when controllers issued a destruct command just 15 minutes after liftoff.
일본의 새 주력 대형 로켓의 첫 발사 시도가 발사 15분 만에 일본 우주 항공연구개발기구가 기체 파괴 명령을 내리면서 실패로 끝났습니다.
More than 1,000 super emitter sites leaked methane into the global atmosphere in 2022, according to an analysis of satellite data, with the worst single leak found to be equivalent to 67 million running cars.
지난해 전 세계 1,000여 곳의 에너지 생산 및 쓰레기 처리 시설에서 자동차 6,700만 대 배출량에 버금가는 메탄이 한꺼번에 유출된 적이 있다는 분석 결과가 위성자료 분석을 통해 나타났다고 외신이 전했습니다.
Bruce Willis's wife, Emma Hemming Willis, has asked paparazzi to keep their distance and stop yelling at the Hollywood star, who has been diagnosed with dementia and was hounded on a recent outing.
배우 브루스 윌리스의 아내 에마 해밍 윌리스가 파파라치들에게 치매 진단을 받은 남편의 개인 공간을 존중해주고 크게 소리치지 말 것을 요청했습니다. And those are our headlines. Morning Headline Expressions. From the headlines, we had this expression, spending on private education. 이게 바로 사교육비입니다. So spending on anything, right?
Right. You put money into it. You spend money on it.
Yeah, exactly. So 무엇에 대한 비용이란 뜻으로 spending on 뭐뭐뭐 이렇게 얘기할 수 있고요. Private education, 사교육.
And if you feel like you're spending too much money on things, you might say, "Oh, I need to curb my spending right now." If maybe perhaps something has gone on, or you know you're going to have bigger expenses down the line, you might try and restrict your spending, limit your spending.
Limit or restrict your spending. 지출을 좀 줄여야겠다라는 생각이 들 때 쓰는 표현이고요. The next one is per capita income in dollars.
Anytime we talk about per capita, it just means per person.
Yeah.
So what they did here is they took the average for, Korean won, put it in dollar terms, and then divided it by the number of people.
Yeah. For some reason, when it comes to stats, we always say per capita. I don't think you say GNI per person or GDP per person. It's always per capita.
That's right.
통계에서는 만큼은요. 항상 1인당이라는 뜻으로 per capita라고 해야 되고요. 그 외에 일반적인 상황에서는 그냥 per person 하시면 돼요. If you just want to say, oh, the price will come to, I don't know, $10 per person. In that case, you can say per person.
Oh, you would do it that way for sure in just colloquial speech when you're talking to people.
That's right.
But it's more for statistics when you're just trying to judge how much each person would be on average earning. Obviously, it's not an average in reality, but
right. That's true. 그렇죠. 1인당이라는 게 이렇게 뉴스에서 아니면 통계 얘기를 할 때는 per capita라고 한다는 거. 자, 그다음에는요. flagship space rocket.
when we talk about anything being a flagship, it is the most important or the biggest one. Like we mentioned, a flagship store. It'd be the first store that a company made. It's the biggest one. You can talk a lot about flagship products, for example, right? You think of companies that have many products. What's their flagship product? What's the product that everybody thinks of when they think of that company?
그런 게 있죠. 이제 I'm thinking right now of a type of sneaker that's very popular and you like it very much as well. I think that's one of their flagship products.
Yes.
You know, it represents a basketball player and, you know.
It was actually, it is the flagship product because it's the one that actually made them the biggest sneaker company in the world. They were not even... I don't think they were even like top 3 before that.
Exactly. But they have other sneakers too. I'm wearing a different kind of sneaker.
Well, but it's on the back of Jordans, for sure.
그렇죠. 네, 그런 식으로 이렇게 뭐 어떤 기업을 떠올렸을 때 주력 상품, 이거는 flagship product라고 얘기할 수 있습니다. 자, 그 다음으로 be equivalent to something.
Be the same.
Be the same as something. 뭐뭐와 같다.
Right, and you can even be like having an argument with somebody or something like that, and you can say that's not equivalent, right? That's not the same. Like if people are saying you're trying to compare two things, well, this isn't equivalent, or you didn't do an equivalent amount of work that I did.
나랑 버금가는 일을 안 했잖아. 이런 말을 할 때 you didn't do the equivalent amount of work that I did. 이렇게 말할 수 있군요. 그 다음엔 마지막으로 to keep one's distance.
Exactly what it says.
Yeah.
Right? To give space.
Yeah, give space.
Give space, right? And you can even sometimes say like, you know, perhaps, I think like you go to work and maybe the manager is a bit grumpy or something like that. Like when I used to do landscaping, we had one foreman and this guy was like the grumpiest guy ever. So some days were worse than others and everyone's like, oh, Rob's in a mood today. Keep your distance. Stay away from him.
멀리 떨어져.
If you don't have to go near him, I suggest you don't.
그래요. And also in the West, in English-speaking countries, personal space is really important, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So I heard, and that was the case for me as well, when you come to Korea for the first time and you sort of bump into people.
Or people bump into you.
People bump into you.
And don't say anything.
You're quite surprised, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 그래서 저도 그런 경험을 좀 하기도 했었는데 외국에서는 이 personal space가 굉장히 중요해요. 그래서 자신만의 개인 공간이죠. 그래서 굉장히 붐비는 곳에서도 가급적이면 이 공간을 좀 지키려고 하기 때문에 스치거나 부딪히거나 그러면 무조건 사과를 합니다. 외국인들 sorry 이렇게 바로 하는데 우리나라에서는 뭐 매번 누구 이렇게 부딪힐 때마다 사과하지는 않잖아요. 그래서 이게 좀 문화 차이라고 볼 수 있을 것 같아요.
When I was first living in Seoul and on a really busy subway, I was at a panic attack and I got off.
그렇죠.
I had to get off because I was just like I couldn't. I'd never been squeezed like that. And people just kept pushing and pushing and I just couldn't handle it.
It's hard to keep your distance when you're cramped inside a subway.
Right, it's just and it's all the thing like why do we have to push so much? Like wait. Like you know that's like the one thing teachers teach kids in Korea, wait your turn.
Yeah, exactly. Wait your turn. 이거는 이제 차례차례대로 순서를 기다려라라는 말이기도 합니다. Alright, well those were our expressions. Morning Headline Expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣기 하실 수 있습니다. 3월 9일 목요일 Morning Headlines 뉴스캐스터 레이와 함께 시작합니다.
Authorities have issued wildfire alerts for Hapcheong County in South Gyeongsang Province, where strong winds are complicating firefighting efforts.
강풍으로 산불 진화에 어려움을 겪고 있는 경남 합천군에 당국이 산불 경보를 발령했습니다.
U.S. Federal Chairman Jerome Powell has cautioned that interest rates are likely to head higher than central bank policymakers had previously expected.
제롬 파월 미국 연방준비제도 의장은 향후 금리가 중앙은행의 기존 전망치보다 높아질 가능성이 있다며 주의를 당부했습니다.
A massive trash mountain in Kochi, India that caught fire last week has cloaked nearby areas in a thick toxic haze that prompted authorities to advise residents to remain indoors or wear N95 face masks if they head outside.
지난주 인도 코친에 있는 쓰레기 매립지에서 발생한 화재로 인근 지역이 대량의 독성 매연에 휩싸이자 당국이 주민들에게 실내에 머물거나 외출 시 N95 마스크를 착용할 것을 권고했습니다.
Rats that are claimed to be as big as cats in the seaside town of Tenby in the UK has sparked fears of infestation and erosion of cliffs at the popular tourist destination.
영국의 해변 마을 텐비에 나타난 이른바 고양이만큼 큰 쥐들 때문에 유명 관광지인 이곳의 해안 절벽이 쥐로 들끓고 표면도 침식될 수 있다는 우려가 제기됐습니다.
Archaeologists have unearthed a smiling sphinx-like statue with two dimples and the remains of a shrine in an ancient temple in southern Egypt.
고고학자들이 이집트 남부의 한 신전에서 웃는 얼굴에 보조개가 있는 스핑크스 형상과 기타 신성한 유적지의 유물을 발굴했습니다. And those are our headlines. Morning headline expressions. From the headlines today, we saw a various number of expressions. I almost forgot what to say there. And one of those was firefighting efforts.
Right. When you talk about efforts, it means to do something, to try and do something. So firefighting efforts means that there are a lot of firefighters trying to put out a fire. However, strong winds are complicating that,
Yes.
meaning making it more difficult.
Firefighting efforts는 여기서 진화 작업을 말하고요. complicating이라는 표현이 앞에 나온 것은 이제 strong winds가 이런 진화 작업을 어렵게 하고 있다라는 의미가 되겠습니다. 강풍으로 인해서 진화 작업에 난항을 겪고 있다 정도의 의미로 보시면 되겠습니다. The next expression is likely to head somewhere.
So if you say something is likely, it means it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Something is likely, it's probable. Head higher. In this case, we're talking about increasing, right? So you can use if head is used as a verb, it means to go, right? So head higher, go higher, increase. But you can also use it just to say you're going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to head to the store.
It's used all the time, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Where are you heading?
Yeah. Hey, Ray, are you heading out?
Yeah, I'm heading out now.
Let's go together.
Okay,
뭐
sounds
이렇게 말할 수도 있잖아요. 예, 어디로 가다, 어디를 향해 가다라는 뜻으로 정말 많이 쓰는 동사인데요. head, 어디라고 합니다. 그래서 likely to head higher라는 표현은 여기서 더 높아질 가능성이 있다라는 의미가 되겠고요. 기준금리 얘기였습니다. The next expression was to remain indoors.
To remain means to stay. Simply just means to stay. Indoors, outdoors, inside, outside.
Yeah, exactly. Remain은 어떤 상태를 유지하는 거죠. Indoors, 그러니까 실내에 계속 있는 게 좋겠다라는 그런 권고사항이 나왔다라는 거는요. 거꾸로 말하면 외출을 자제해달라라는 얘기입니다. No one's been forced to stay indoors, but it's been recommended, suggested, yeah, it's safer. Advised, yeah, because the air is so bad outdoors. Policymakers or
authorities.
Yeah,
it's better to stay inside.
It is, yeah. Remain indoors. 자, 그 다음 표현은 sparking fears입니다.
Right. So sparking fears means causing fears, causing people to get afraid of something. So if something sparks something else, it's usually like an emotion, right? This sparked anger, this sparked outrage, for example.
Yeah.
It was the start of it.
촉발하다의 의미가 있고요. 불러일으킨다라는 뜻이 있기 때문에 spark, 뭐 이렇게 쓰거든요. spark fears는 우려를 불러일으키고 있다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. 정말 많은 쥐들이 갑자기 이렇게 출몰하는 바람에 이러다가는 이 절벽이 침식이 될 수도 있겠는데? 라는 우려를 불러일으켰다라는 뜻이 되겠고요. 마지막으로는 우리 얼굴에 있는 보조개, dimple였죠.
Dimples, those little indents some people have on their cheeks when they smile. And, right, they're usually, I don't know, especially in Western culture, they're kind of considered very, very cute and special. And it's also because not everybody has them.
그러게 말입니다. 자, 하나일 때는 그냥 I have a dimple 하면 되고요. 뭐 하나 이상이면 I have dimples. He or she has dimples.
And it usually makes people look younger and like little kids have it. So when adults have dimples, it's, it's very cute.
그래요. Dimples. I always wondered when I was younger why I had dimples.
Yeah.
And now I don't ask that question.
That's what some people do, right?
Yeah,
There's no, I don't
neither
think there's
of my
any...
parents do. So I was like, well,
Oh,
how
really?
come I have dimples? It's interesting. 자, 그래요. 보조개라는 뜻의 dimple도 나왔습니다. 자, 이렇게 오늘 헤드라인에 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤고요. 모닝 헤드라인 익스프레션스는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브로 무료로 다시 들으실 수 있습니다. 3월 10일 금요일 모닝 헤드라인스 뉴스캐스터 폴과 함께 시작합니다.
The government has decided to match the tax cut rate for diesel to the rate of gasoline, expecting the price of diesel to rise at least 67 won per litre once the revised tax cut rate is applied.
네, 정부가 경유 유류세 인하폭을 휘발유에 맞춰 줄이기로 결정했습니다. 휘발유 인하율을 적용하면 경유 가격이 리터당 최소 67원 오를 전망입니다.
Currency and stock markets in Asia stuttered on Thursday after the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell opened the door to a larger than anticipated rate increase of 50 basis points at its March 21st, 22nd meeting.
제롬 파월 미국 연방준비제도 의장이 3월에 예상보다 높은 기준금리 0.5%포인트 인상 가능성을 시사하자 어제 아시아 주요국 통화 가치와 주가가 하락했습니다.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has met with President Zelensky in Kyiv, hoping to shore up a deal that was struck between Ukraine and Russia last year to allow grain exports from both countries.
안토니오 구테레스 유엔 사무총장이 젤렌스키 우크라이나 대통령과 회담을 가지고 우크라이나와 러시아산 곡물 수출을 위한 흑해 곡물 협정의 연장을 촉구했습니다.
The Ecuadorian government has announced it will send 100,000 sterile male mosquitoes to the Galapagos Islands in an effort to reduce the population of wild mosquitoes that are known to transmit dangerous diseases such as dengue fever.
에콰도르 정부가 댕기열과 같은 질병을 옮기는 모기 개체수를 줄이기 위해 갈라파고스에 불임을 유발하는 수컷 모기 10만 마리를 풀어놓을 예정이라고 밝혔습니다.
US news media have highlighted the popular tteokbokki as America's newest food obsession, leading to a nationwide spike in retail, online and restaurant sales of the staple Korean dish.
미국에서 최근 한국 대표 음식 떡볶이가 큰 인기를 끌면서 현지 대형마트, 온라인 쇼핑몰, 그리고 식당 등에서의 판매가 급격히 증가하고 있다고 외신이 전했습니다. And those are our headlines. Morning Headline Expressions. Paul, what does it mean to apply a rule or apply something?
It means we get it going. It comes into effect. We start it working. We can also apply for tickets to see our favourite band or apply for a visa to another country we want to visit. Or like our fantastic listeners, we can apply ourselves to getting fit.
Yes.
But here the meaning is we start it working when we apply a law or apply a cut or a tax or whatever it may be.
그렇죠. 법이라든지 규정이라든지 이런 것들이 적용이 될 때 apply라는 표현을 씁니다. 그 외에도 신청하다의 의미는 있긴 하지만 여기서는 해당이 되지 않고요. larger than antipated라는 표현도 볼게요.
Yes, if we are anticipating something, we're waiting for it to happen, we're expecting it, we're thinking about it, we think it's going to be this, we're predicting it. In this case, it's bigger than we thought it was going to be. It's bigger than we predicted. It's bigger than expected. It's larger than anticipated.
예상했던 것보다 크다. larger than anticipated. 그래서 그 rates 얘기죠. The Fed may raise its interest rates to a bigger percentage than we expected.
Yes, we thought it was going to be maybe 0.25 percentage points, but it could be 0.5.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about shoring something up, what does that mean?
Yes, and this is S-H-O-R-E. To shore up means to support it, to make it stronger, to make sure it doesn't fail. In this case, the UN is trying to shore up this grain exporting deal between Ukraine and Russia.
To make something stronger, in this case, 강화하다, to shore up a deal. 그래서 어떤 협정을, 여기서의 의미는 사실 연장을 계속 하고 싶은 건데요. 그걸 강화한다라는 단어로 표현을 하고 있습니다. And the next expression was to transmit dangerous diseases.
Yes, meaning we pass on these diseases that can hurt people, that can, or even perhaps kill people. The transmission of disease is always a serious business, and mosquitoes are very good transmitters of sometimes dangerous diseases.
Yes. 전달하다, 전송하다의 의미도 있고요. 여기서처럼 질병을 옮기다의 의미도 있습니다. Transmit dangerous diseases. 그런 모기들의 개체수를 줄이기 위해서 sterile한 임신을 시키지 못하는 수컷 모기들을 풀겠다는 거죠. 그래서 이제 알을 암컷들이 낳더라도 알이 부화하지 못하는 상태로 결국은 이렇게 모기의 개체수를 줄이겠다라고 했습니다. The last expression was a food obsession.
Yes, when we have an obsession, we can't stop thinking about whatever it may be. And it's usually something very, very good. We can have an obsession with food, with clothes, with dramas, with movies, with a favorite band, for example. Anything you like a lot can be your obsession.
요즘 나는 이 드라마에 푹 빠졌어. 이런 말을 하고 싶을 때 I'm obsessed with this TV series. 이렇게 해도 돼요.
Exactly. Or you may be obsessed with a celebrity. What are they wearing? What are they doing? What are they eating? Where are they going?
그렇죠. 그래서 열광하다, 뭔가 굉장히 좋아하다의 의미가 있기 때문에 America's newest food obsession, 사람들이 푹 빠진 이 음식은 바로 떡볶이입니다.
맞아요. You know what I'm obsessed with?
What?
The 무모한 문장.
아, 그렇군요. 잠시 후에 살펴보겠습니다. 자, 오늘 헤드라인에서 나온 표현들 리뷰해봤고요. Morning Headline Expressions는 오디오 어학당과 유튜브에서 무료로 다시 듣게 하실 수 있습니다.